So, welcome everybody. Paul Reaper Banasiak here with Muay Thai guy Sean Fagan. Then we have Mr. Silky Smooth, the WBC champion, the Lion Fight superstar that's just been climbing the rankings for the past 2 years. Straight out of CSA gym with one of the biggest dream teams that you can probably think of in the United States. We have Eddie Abasolo. What's going on, brother?
How you guys doing? Man, we're just chilling, man. You know, we already on a level and we ain't even started.
Hell yeah, man. Like I was saying before we even started, man, you're already dropping knowledge and going like super deep into things. So, yeah, I'm like super excited to just get even deeper, man. Blow my mind right now. But before we even do that, why don't you just shine a light a little bit about like who you are, where you're from, how you got into Muay Thai, and like what life was like before fighting and how you found fighting.
Um, it's funny because I never imagined myself becoming a fighter, you know, because I was bullied, you know, and I was insecure about a lot of things, and you know, I didn't really. I felt like a loner up until probably the 10th grade. You know what I mean? It's like that's what like 3 years left of my school career, whatever. But you know, been through ups and downs. You know, I have my story, you know, and I can sit here and point every negative thing on that happened about it. But you know, it's all perspective. You know, what was big to me may not be big to others, and vice versa. You know, so I've had my share of ups and downs, and I've just grew from it. You know, and I don't know. It was just I found Muay Thai, and it was just a gym to go punch things. I remember my first day, I was up in there punching the bag with no gloves on as hard as I can. You know, I'd hit it like twice and then look around the gym, see if anyone's seen it. You know, I was that guy. uh, and then I don't know. I would go to the gym drunk and high every day. I just didn't take it serious. I just wanted to hit stuff, you know. And then I met guys in there who were dedicated, and they would give me a bloody nose every day. And now I understand why, because I was that guy, you know. But slowly I learned, you know, and one thing just led to another. I started climbing and climbing and climbing, and you know, with just I don't know what to call it, a passion, you know, and I just couldn't stop. Like it became an addiction. I always say, if it were anything else, if Muay Thai were anything else, I would need an intervention. You know what I mean? It's like people would sit me down and be like, "Hey, check this out, man. You know, you need to cut this shit out." And it did get
So,
to that point. You know what I mean? Because I didn't start making money in this until probably a couple years ago, and I've been doing this for almost 10 years.
what were some of the things that you personally were having issues with, and how did it come to that point? Even from your earlier upbringing, I think a lot of what our style is, a lot of what shapes us, and what drives us in the direction of fighting is something that stems from our childhood or upbringing, and
Yeah.
everyone kind of has their story. So, and especially with you, just hearing some of the snippets and reading your recent story that you just had posted, the short piece. It was really inspirational just to see your philosophy and thought pattern and some of the things that you've been through. And I think a lot of people would be able to connect with that. And even if they can't, they can see what you went through to get to the point that you are in today, and take inspiration from it. Like, damn, like what I'm doing is, I'm privileged.
Yeah, yeah. Well, referring back to my childhood, like I said, we were evicted from our home. Um, and you know, as a kid, I don't know why I wasn't paying attention, but our house, you know, my parents struggled with addiction as well. You know what I mean? And our house was like the traffic house. You know what I mean? There's just high traffic, and I think that's why our probably led up to our eviction, whatever. But I remember when I was a kid, we used to, you know, sleep in our van, and our van had just garbage bags of clothes in it, you know. And there were times where me and my brothers and sisters, and I'm the oldest out of five, you know, we would have to share them little. Remember them well, they're probably like $2 for $1 now, but they were $4 for $1 back in the day. The little bags of chips, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We would have to share those, you know what I mean? Like me and my dad, we would go to Safeway down the street and steal stuff, and they knew what we was doing, but we would shop there so much before it happened. Like they were just cool with it. They would just let us, take whatever, as long as it's not like we would run out with, bags of stuff, but we would just take what we need, and they wouldn't be tripping. So that was cool. And then eventually, um, we were staying at a friend's house for a while. His name is Brian Castellanos. He's one of my friends. And they let us stay in their living room, and we stayed there for a while. And then we found a motel that we would stay in. We're staying there for I think a couple years, and there was and like right down the street, I would beg for money at the Shell's gas station. Me and one of my boys, and then what happened after that?
Was
It's
there
just
like
so much, man. It's just all so scattered. You know what I mean?
was there like a major point of where things just kind of shifted, or was it like a gradual, slow change that kind of got you out of all the negativity that was kind of surrounding you at the time?
I don't know. I can't really pinpoint that. For me, when just growing up with all that, just it was always one thing after another. So I just thought that was normal. You know what I mean? It's just something that I just dealt with. It wasn't like, oh man, this isn't how a family's supposed to be, or this isn't how things are supposed to go. Things are supposed to be timelined. White picket fence, all that stuff. For me, it was just like, oh shoot, this is happening. This is happening. The cops are here again. Or people coming in through the backyard. And that was normal. We'd be playing in the backyard, and people just come through the backyard to the house, and that was just a normal thing. So growing up around all that, it was just like, it wasn't like I went from 0 to 60. So I guess you could say it was gradual. You know what I mean? So for me, I was just something that I was like, okay, that's happening. I was just adjust at the moment, So I guess that's where things kind of came from,
Yeah, you described
One thing,
Muay Thai. You described Muay Thai as kind of like love. When you meet someone and all you can do is just think about them, their name, and anytime you're not with them, the next thing you want to do is be with them. Kind of, I kind of had that same experience in the beginning of my career as well. It's like anytime I wasn't in the gym, all I was thinking it's about being in the gym and what else I can do. And if I can text them, I would text them, but you can't text them. So yeah, it's just an addiction. But the way you described it was very, very poetic. Just having an actual love for it. So you were talking about how you were still showing up to the gym, high, still using while doing that. What was the transition out? Was it when you started to actually compete and fight?
Yeah, man. I had my first smoker, and I remember I invited all my friends, all the family that I can come watch. And, I came from where I was warming up to the ring, dancing and all cocky and crap, and then got dropped and TKO'd in the first 20 seconds. I was just so embarrassed. And then after that, I kind of got thrown under the bus, at my old gym, like no attention at all. And it was at that moment, it was just a smoker. It was my first smoker, but all the things that happened, me getting TKO'd and getting the cold shoulder, and it's like, I learned that lesson real quick. I consider that a privilege because I didn't get led up to it. Like some people, they go undefeated and then they lose, and then they see all that happen, and then they feel all that happen, and then they question It's like, this isn't how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? I got that my very first smoker. So I think that's the turning point for me. It was really upon me. I had to show up to the gym. I had to do my thing, you know. And I mean, no attention, not even like a what's up. And I would just watch what my coach is teaching, watch what my coach says on the pads for other people, and go on the bag and do it myself. You know what I mean? And then just try to find my balance and my rhythm through that.
So knowing all that and having the experience of that, especially early on, what would your advice be to a lot of the younger fighters or the guys that are just starting out, no matter what age they really are, just, you know, making sure that they do stay dedicated? You know, I myself as a coach definitely do have those moments where I'm trying to pass that down to some of my students, but what would your number one piece of advice be to them?
If
Just
it's
ones that are in
real,
the same situation, you know, like they kind of have a different life on the side, you know, just
yeah,
whether it's work or they're into partying, they're going through their phase, but you know,
mhm,
they're talking to their friends that, you know, I'm a fighter, I'm doing this and that,
yeah,
and just trying to get them
yeah,
more focused. Because I see how focused you are. No one has to tell you to be drilling by yourself. No one tells you to do all
yeah,
the extra work that you do.
yeah. You just got to think about where you want to be, and there's no real guideline on how to do that, you know. But it really comes down to everything in your life has to contribute to your dream. You know what I mean? I don't have time to kick it or to hang out. You know what I mean? Uh, I mean, you could ask anyone. Like, really, it's not because it's nothing personal. You know, I just I feel like every second counts. You know, from my sleeping, from training, you know, to I don't stretch enough, but I need to start stretching, you know what I mean? Like every second counts, you know, I don't have time to go out and kick it. I don't have time to go hang out. You know, if I have time to go hang out, I could be running. I could be shadow boxing, you know, I could be juggling. I could do something, you know, that'll contribute to my passion and what I'm trying to do. You know, and it's true, the money comes. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about uh where's the money going to come from? You know, how am I going to pay for this? Once you let go of your wants and just focus on your needs, uh, it'll all come together. You'll have everything you need. Because what do we need money for? Resources, right? Uh, and just be genuine and following your passion and doing what you do and staying in your lane. The resources will come. You know, then you don't need that money. It's like I paid nothing, but through my resources, I'm rich. You know, and uh, being genuine towards people and getting that genuine resource rather than having to pay for a service, the job is done way better. You know what I mean? So it's trade, you know, and it's everything has to contribute to what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. It's like, if I eat this donut right now, is this going to help me? No. I mean, that's a bit extreme, but it's, you know, I was always trying to be that person that in the gym that people are like, man, he's doing too much. It's like, nah, I feel like people aren't doing enough. You know, I feel like I'm still trying to catch up. It's like, how am I doing too much when I'm trying to catch up? I have to do more. You know what I mean? And I'm okay with that. You know, a lot of people is like, well, I got to deal with this. I got to deal with that. And you don't have to deal with this. Everyone has their situation. Everyone has their problems. But, you know, what really matters is what takes you away from those problems. You know, this. I've had issues with my wife in the beginning. You know, I have kids. You know, I've worked the 9 to 5. I used to train from with my wife and my daughter. I used to train from 3 in the afternoon till 9 in the evening. Go home. Sometimes I wouldn't even make it home. Go straight to work at Walmart as an overnight stocker in the hot dog department. You know what I mean? And this is all while I'm winning titles and stuff like that in my amateur career. And I would work till 7 in the morning, go to sleep, wake up at 11 or 12, spend an hour with my daughter, eat, and go right back to it. And that was just my routine, you know? And it's funny because I remember after I won my first amateur title, that Monday at work, I'm like, so this is the life of a champion, huh? Just stacking hot dogs, you know? So, yeah, man.
So what essentially like gives you the fire to keep training and to like put in all that extra work? Like when you talk about like knowing where you want to be, when did you figure
hmm
that out, and where do you want to be? Where do you want to continue to
Man,
go?
I don't, that it's crazy because I don't really have a spot on answer to anything, you know? I don't know. All I know is what I want right now, you know, and that could change tomorrow. So whatever I want right now, I'm gonna do it to the fullest. And when I'm in the gym, that's what I want to do. You know, nothing else matters. When I'm in the gym, I don't have a family, uh, because it can't be like that. I think that contributed a bit to my change in fighting. Is when I remember I used to be at the gym tripping because I'm not at home and I felt guilty that I need to be with my family. Then when I finally get home, I'm tripping because I didn't get a good workout at the gym. You know what I mean? So it's like my mind was never where I'm at. Once I was able to learn and balance that out and really understand the power of energy and uh, you know, how we can control that, things came a lot easier, you know.
How were you able to control that? Is it mostly in just being fully present in the moment whenever you're with your family and giving as much of yourself to your family when you're there, and then doing the same thing in contrast when you're in the gym and training?
Uh, yeah, that's exactly what I did. Wherever I am, nothing else matters. It's not real. If I'm at the gym, nothing else outside those gym doors is real. You know, if I'm at home, nothing else is real, you know. Otherwise, my mind will wander over there, you know. So, when I'm with my kids, I do find myself wandering, you know. Balance is not a stagnant position. It's constant motion, you know. And it's just being able to dribble the vibration, whatever. You know what I mean? When I'm with my kids are the only thing that exists. When I'm in the gym, that's the only thing that exists. When I'm having a conversation with someone, that's the only thing that exists. Because what's the point in me sitting here talking to you guys if my mind is wandering and I'm thinking about other things, you know, and I'm like, did I leave the stove on? You know, wait, did I lock my car? You know, stuff like that. It takes away from the conversation, you know, it takes away from the energy that we're trying to build right here. You know, it it just doesn't make sense.
Do you feel like a lot of this awareness came from your meditation practice? Because I know before we started the live podcast portion, the audio portion, whatever, you were talking about how meditation has played a huge impact on the way that you've kind of developed the past few years. What does that entail? Like, I meditate as well, but I'm curious about what your practice is like, how long you've been doing it, and yeah, how you feel like it's affected you.
Um, I feel like it's made things go a lot smoother. You know, in another person's eyes, you can say I've been more successful since I've started meditating because um because of meditation. But from my perspective, I've things things are the same to me. It's just my perspective of it. You know what I mean? Um, there's nothing's changed. I have a lot of people that hit me from other angles telling me where they think I should be, what they think I should be doing, what cards I should be on, what I need to be. You know what I mean? It's like, and I filter all of that. You know, I take it in. You know, I never take anything to offense or it's just energy. It's just trying to take that energy, filter it, and do what I can with it. Um, you just, and everyone's gonna get that. You know, that's the thing that breaks us down in chasing our dreams is people telling us what they think we should be doing, what would benefit us, when no one has it all figured out. You know what I mean? Themselves. It's like everyone's trying to figure out their own path. Who am I to try to force you to another way? You know what I mean? All I can do is use my presence to redirect you in wherever you're supposed to be going or trying to go. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm getting off topic from your
No, not at all. Like,
from your
I mean,
question, but
I think Sean has gone through that same type of phase. I feel like I have gone through it as well. I feel like it
yeah,
is part of the journey, and the earlier you figure that out, the better for you it is going to be. You know, I still
yeah,
sometimes take a step back, and I have to remind myself to think that way, or to start meditating again, because there, you
yeah,
know, I do a lot of things outside of fighting when it comes to, let's say, this podcast and running my own brand and different things. So a lot of the time my brain does shift to other places, and then it's hard to multitask thinking about all these different
yeah,
things. It really doesn't work. Everything
yeah,
suffers at the same time. Like I'm putting 50% in everything, and it becomes really tough. Whenever I meditate, though, whenever I feel too much stress and I throw on an app or I just sit down and breathe, that's where I really feel like it's just a reset button for my day. We talked
yeah,
about it on the last couple podcasts, where even if, you know, it doesn't take all the stress away, it doesn't solve any type of problems, you know, physically, by
yeah,
sitting down for 10 minutes. I think that's why a lot of people shy away from it. They're like, oh, if I sit here for
yeah,
10 minutes, I'm not doing any action, I'm only sitting, you know, I'm not
yeah,
actually physically doing anything. But what it's doing
yeah.
is it's segregating, and it's helping you, you know, shift priorities. You
Level
know,
out.
what needs to come
Yeah,
first? I need to level out. And then for me, it's more of a reset. And I'm like, okay, now I can think about it without attaching emotion
yeah,
to it, because I was frustrated
yeah,
previously. Yeah, man.
yeah,
So seeing you, especially in the past 2 years, because especially when I was at CSA and seeing the different types of drills that you're doing, the type of work that you're putting in, and then one of the students there, I think it was Sean that told me, the guy I was staying with in Oakland, driving in, he told me, is like, man, Eddie used to never be like that. I'm telling you, like that fight at Lion Fight, he was like, that's where he just found his groove and who he really is.
yeah,
He's like, watch his fights
yeah.
from like 2 years ago, and I watched you fight from like 2 years ago, and it didn't look
Oh
like the
yeah,
same
man.
person
Night
mentally,
and
didn't
day.
look like the same person with a skill level, and definitely no
Yeah,
one gains that type of skill over 2 years. I think like you had
yeah.
it in you, you had that skill in you, but
Uh-huh.
something just clicked in your head and you just changed.
Man, when I went to Thailand, I think that really helped me out because I was only there. It was only a 3.5 week trip, right? So I was trying to think to myself, there's not really nothing I can learn in 3.5 weeks and try to hold on to. Like, what is the most important thing I can gain from this trip? You know, I had to change my perspective. So I didn't really watch their strikes so much. You know what I mean? I tried to feel their energy and their presence and uh just watch their balance and watch how they stood on their feet, watch how they moved and watched how nonchalant they were about everything. Uh and that just kind of made me realize like, man, you know, out here in the US we take things to the extreme. Everyone in the warm up room, it's so spiritual and so intense, and you know what I mean. We're out in Thailand, they're just chilling right next to each other, and it's like it's not like a fu type of thing. Just like, man, we're warriors. We just gotta go in there and fight. You know what it is. I know what it is. Words don't mean shit. It doesn't matter. Once we get in there, we're gonna see who's the better man. You know, that just I took that, and brought it back with me. Now I feel like no matter how much someone talks to me, it doesn't matter because none of that is real. None of it is relevant. Uh, that's just petty energy. Wait until we get in the ring, and then we'll see. We'll let our actions do the talking. you know.
In regards to like what you learned from Thailand and just translating it back
Mhm.
at home, do you feel like a lot of the things that, I mean, like you were just speaking about, like their balance and their composure and just like the overall
Mhm.
energy, how did you translate it back home? Did it have to do with a lot of solo training that like Paul has highlighted in some of his videos of you doing some of the balancing techniques on like the board and the foam roller, or was it more of just like a mindset shift?
It was a little bit of both. They kept it real simple out there, you know, real simple, and it worked. It's just mixing up the strikes, mixing up simple, basic strikes that make, you know, a style complex. You know, a slip is real basic, but if I can slip, you know, and still be in your presence within your comfort zone, um, it makes my presence a little bit more heavier. You know, without me even doing nothing, I could just stay in your comfort zone and you'll feel my presence. You know, it was that, and then just doing a bunch of little stuff. I think what really got me into doing all that little tedious, crazy stuff was watching Lomachenko. You know, I watch him a lot. Him, Julio Cesar Chavez. You know, those probably are the two that I watch the most in boxing, and James Toney. But Samart, and you know, and it's like all the slicksters, man. You know, those that's what drives me. You know, they're just so balanced and so poised. You know, that it's just they make it look easy because it is easy. We just make it look hard. You know, if you watch anyone in any craft do anything, you probably think to yourselves like, man, it just comes so natural to them. They make it look so easy. You know, it is easy. We have an idea of what it's supposed to look like, but we don't know with our own bodies. You know what I mean? And our own rhythm. Because a lot of people know how to walk, but they don't know how to walk. You know, once we learn how to balance ourselves on 2 feet and go forward and side to side, we don't perfect our posture. You know, like we don't even stop to think about it.
So, down at CSA, obviously you have an amazing group and team of people. I feel like a lot of your training does come from you working on things yourself. So, do you study your own footage a lot? What is how do you create all these different methods of training? Maybe some of you guys have seen on my YouTube channel when Eddie is using the bag, but he's using it in completely different ways than most people do. He doesn't just stand there and just throw combinations to get himself tired. There's focus, there's intent, and there's repetition that all has a purpose to it. So whether it's balance or switching stances, or how you say it's not really, they do it for you. So the back switching stance is for you. How do you come up with that?
Man, it's just hours of just being in there, man. It's just like I'm digging all day. I'm digging and I'm fighting little gems here and there, you know, and uh I'm not really searching, you know. By doing something there's some things that only repetition can teach, you know, and just by being in there doing it, you find little gems on how to make things more efficient. When you're tired, you can't do all that fancy stuff. You know what I mean? You're only able to do what's necessary. So the real work don't start until you're tired. The real uh technique, forming proper technique, don't start until you're tired. You know, because that's all that matters is technique. You know what I mean? Not the extra or all that stuff. It's just when you're tired. And yeah, there's, tired, like stamina tired, but when you're freaking on the bag for an hour tired, it you find other little gems in there and they just come to you, and then you just start working on it and then just doing it repetitiously, you know what I mean? And for me, everything is just based off of left or right. Kind of like that Dutch style. My style isn't Dutch style, but the balance is constant transfer, left, right, left, right, left, right, even their strikes, their combos, left, right, left, right, left, right. It's a 50-50 chance. And if I keep my balance and my rhythm left, right, whatever I throw from either side, they're going to look the same, and which will give it the speed that it needs. You know, it's not fast, it's just subtle. That's how I feel like you don't see it coming. You know, that's why I try to practice on timing so much. When I'm on the bag, I'm timing the bag. You know, I'm not just trying to blast it on the swing bag, but on the pole bag, you know, I could kind of just let loose a little bit more.
Do you have a
But it's just
typical
repetition.
Do you have a typical training session, or is every training session pretty impromptu? Or do you have any type of structure to like your daily or weekly training routines, or is all that kind of just improvised based on the amount of time you're in the gym, what you feel like doing, the resources you have around you?
Yeah, it's all improvised. I mean, and you can ask anyone like in there, they'll ask me like, what you about to do, Eddie? What you got going on for them? I don't know. I'm just gonna get going and see where I end up, you know. And I feel like that's where that kind of has to do with meditating, because you can't just sit there and all right, I'm meditating. You have to fall into it. You know, you have to fall into a zone. You know, you just can't jump into it. You got to fall into it. And depending on what I feel like doing, that's what's gonna help me fall into my zone. And it just gets to a point to where I'm meditating while I'm training. You know, I just put my earphones on, start shadow boxing, or sometimes I'll shadow box for a half hour. Sometimes I'll hit bags for an hour, 2, 3 hours. You know, whatever. I'm just in there, just meditating, just trying to move. You know, I can't even feel my body when I get to a point to where I'm training so much that I can't even feel my body, and it's just my head. And it feels like I can get to a point now to where as soon as a thought crosses my mind, I let it go. You know what I mean? As soon as a thought of a strike or a slip or whatever crosses my mind, it's done. It's already sent. You know, I don't have time to register, or else I'll hesitate. Either it works or it doesn't. You know, and when I go in there, people their plans get changed. I had pad work at this time, or I was supposed to go run at this time. You know, I was supposed to do this, but everything is subject to change. You know, and when it happens, it messes up their frequency. Oh my God, you know, I don't have time for this, or my whole day is ruined because I didn't get this or this and that. When really it's just like we can't really plan how our day is gonna go. We just gotta have a general idea and just know that it's subject to change, and we just got to kind of work our way around it or flow with it, you know what I mean? Because privates cancel on me. You know, there's times where uh I'll have to help someone do something, or you know, I'll have to leave, and I'll just have to fit it in around it, you know, and that way I'm not stressed out or tripping that my plan didn't go as planned, because it never does.
Yeah, how does that translate into you being in the locker room, you being backstage, and there are definitely things that can happen. As Sean and I talked about in the last podcast, I dislocated my knee warming up before walking out, and I also got a foot contusion, and then my coach also couldn't make it to the fight last minute. So all these things happen, and man, I never felt better in a fight in my life. I feel like it numbed me more than anything. I was like, oh, this, oh, this, oh, this. Man, what else can
Hmm.
go wrong? Nothing can go wrong anymore.
Yeah,
Like, what can I
yeah,
do? I can't control any of this. The only thing I can control now is the fight. And I definitely see
yeah,
people that have these certain routines, and they're like, "Oh man, no, you got to get me this. Make sure you get that for me." And they think so much
yeah,
about
yeah.
that versus the actual battle and being in the present moment. Like, how does that translate? What are your thoughts? What's happening backstage when you're warming up? You're about to walk out. They're about to call your name. You're on deck.
um I'm just chill, man. You know, I'm not tense. The only thing I'm tense about, if I am tense, is if I'm too relaxed. But I'm just soaking everything up, man. I'm soaking everything up. You know, when I'm in the back of the room, I'm in the back of the room. You know, the crowd don't mean nothing. anything outside that room don't matter. I'm just in there. I'm chilling with whoever's in there, whatever we doing. If I have to shadow box, I'm shadow boxing. When I was in London, our warm up room was hecka small, and we had hecka people up in there. And I probably had like a 2 foot diameter that I could work out in, 2 or 3 feet, circle that I could work out in shadow box. Put my earphones on, everyone disappeared, because that's all I was doing, just shadow boxing. Wherever I'm at, man, everything applies, once from my perspective, this is what I've learned. When you learn the properties of meditating, you can apply it to everything to a point to where you're in a constant form of meditation, even when you're not meditating, things don't get to you. You ain't tripping. If our reaction, if we do overreact, we learn to control it a little bit quicker. You know what I mean? It's gonna happen. We're just in antennas and little frequencies just brushing through us. You know what I mean? We just gotta learn how to control it. You know what I mean? Recognize it and control it. A couple people at the gym asked me, how do I prepare before fights and what do I think of? I don't think of anything because it's not real. Not until you step into the ring, soak up everything, man. Soak up every step from the warm up room to the ring. Every single step, feel every single step. We're all so worried about trying to get there. Then when we get there, it's over. It's only 15 minutes. Some of them are 9. And then once we're done, we're like, oh man, it wasn't that bad. It's like standing in line for the drop zone.
So I have a couple questions I want to ask you because you just touched on a bunch of points that piqued my interest. First off, you don't seem like much of a routine guy. Like, do you have routines in like your life at all?
Sort of.
Like,
I
do you
get
have a
up.
meditation routine?
Nah, not well. No. There's common things that I do from day to day. They're not always on the same time. They're not always in the same way. There are times where I don't get to meditate, but I not meditate as in sit here, in a dark room, but now I'm able to just meditate wherever I am. If I'm driving home, if I'm on the bag, I'm meditating it right now when I'm talking to you guys. It's just my thoughts, just flowing. That's all it is.
So, secondly, when you're going into a fight, I'm also guessing you don't have any type of game plan, do you?
Nah, man. I don't really watch my fighters either, cause I feel like it doesn't matter. I could watch. Say my fighter has a good leg kick, a good low kick. Finishes everyone with it. Obviously, I got to change my game a little bit. I got to adjust to the vibration that's about to be in front of me. But at the same time, I could have a million people throw leg kicks at me in sparring. I can spar a million people and have them throw leg kicks. I can drill it in my head, until no one in the entire universe can land a leg kick on me. But it still won't match up to. It won't match. Not one of those people out of a million will match up to who I'm about to go against, because they don't have the same rhythm, and I can't really tell you what's going to happen. On paper, I can tell you, well, he drops his hand when he does this, or he doesn't pivot or whatever, his tendencies and this and that, and how I can manipulate him and vice versa. But until our rhythm and our presence is in front of each other, we don't know how that's going to synchronize. You know what I mean? Maybe he's been training for something that he's watching out for. So now we're both usually who might be two aggressive fighters going against each other. Now they're both, you know, scared and both trying to play counter. That's not their game. You know, it's like we don't really know what's gonna happen until we get in there. When I get in there, I just try to put my presence on you. And then whatever comes, you know, it's basic. Everything is basic. If we could teach it, it's already in there. So I don't have to think about it. You know, if I could teach you how to check a leg kick, I don't have to really worry about it because I know it's already in there. When the time comes, it'll be accessed, you know.
Deep, bro.
And you mentioned you throwing the
A lot of
headphones
times,
on.
man, I feel like I'm not making any sense, but this is what goes on
Nah,
up here.
man, you're
You know?
making
sense.
more sense than yeah, you're making a lot of sense to me. I don't know, but it's nice to be able to just hear you kind of flow with your thoughts and not put too much like emphasis behind them. You're like you say, you're just kind of meditating and talking to us. You know, you're just saying whatever is on your mind at the moment, and you could tell that's how you fight too, man. And like, yeah, I can just really appreciate it. I can just really appreciate it. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's no way that you can slip that jab through that spinning elbow, like concentrating too much on one weapon or another. Like
Man.
you're going with the flow of things. I mean,
And that was, you know, just a flow move, man. It's just like I never trained that, I never practiced that in my life, and I can't teach how to do it. You know, I can't. I guarantee you, if I go into a fight and set off to try to do that, I'm gonna get knocked out. You know, it's just something that happened in the moment. You know, I'm sure you guys heard of flow state. You know what I mean? Man, it's a beautiful thing once you're able to kind of tap into it. You know, I don't know how well I can do it, but I can do it enough to where it works for me.
yeah, man, I felt like I was straight in that flow state, and then there are little things that get you a little too high or a little too low. And like my last glory fight, I felt like I got a little too high because I hit him with a knee down the center. It sliced him open, and I'm like, ooh, blood. I'm gonna hit it again. And all I kept thinking, like what you said, is like now I had a plan to set out. When before I didn't have a plan. My plan was I'll kick him as much as I can in his leg, but I'll do it when it's there, not like just keep doing it. And then when the knee came, that's when I was like, all right, he's sliced open. If I hit it one more time, maybe I can really get the stoppage now.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting caught because I forced it so much. I dropped my hand. I pulled him too hard with the knee, and then I get hit hard right before the round ends.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how things happen like that. You know, I just assume whether I shadow box, sparring, bag work, you know, you see a lot of people they'll practice combos, which is good. You know, there's no such way as a wrong way. You know, I tell my personals, whatever I teach, whatever I say is just a way. It's not the way. You know, there's plenty of ways, and there's no way that's perfect. You know, everything's circumstantial. But kind of referring to what happened, how in your situation, I always assume that they're still going to be standing. You know, no matter what, I always assume that they're going to be standing. When I'm shadow boxing, when I'm on bag work, when I'm hitting pads, whatever, I always assume that I never feel like I never felt like I was a strong dude anyways, you know? So I just always had to keep it coming, you know? But I always assume they're going to be standing. Nothing changes. Like when I cut Jersey, my last fight, I did get a little overzealous on it. You know, I got excited and was trying to go after it, but I had to try to keep my composure and just slow it down.
Man, when you mentioned putting in your headphones and then just you're the only person in the room, I feel like that's my favorite part of that movie, Southpaw, with Jake Gyllenhaal. Is it stood out to me in the beginning. I don't know if you've seen it, but when they first start out the movie, he's in the locker room, he has the headphones in, the music's just blaring, it's loud, and it's only him. He's staring at his own hand getting wrapped, and it sounds like chaos, but he's just breathing and breathing. And then a second later, it cuts to the people outside of it, and they're in their own world. Their reality is completely different as well. Like everyone's laughing, they're joking, everything's chill, and then the music's really soft. It's somewhere over there in his headphones. Everyone's got their own agenda. Everyone's worrying about their own shit, and I feel like a lot of the time people put too much emphasis on what someone else is doing or whatever they're controlling versus just themselves.
Yeah. Nah,
So,
for real, man. I 100% agree with you.
so when it comes to what you have planned for the future, I mean, I know you're a very present dude and very aware of like what you want in the moment right now. And you said you weren't exactly sure what you would want in the future, but is there any kind of inkling of thought of what you're trying to accomplish in this sport, in this life, with your career?
Oh man, I'm just trying to create a ripple. You know, I don't know who said it, but when I heard it, it stuck with me. It's like, I know I can't live forever, but 200 years, 300 years don't sound bad. You know what I mean? At least there'll be a few people talking about me when I'm gone. You know what I mean? But as like in the future, man, I don't know. Like I said, the best way I can explain is I just want to create a ripple, because with the people I fight, I want them I want their grandkids to ask them, hey, who was the hardest person or the most memorable fight you've ever fought out of hundreds of fights, even if they were undefeated? And they would, without hesitation, say, man, Eddie Abasolo, like I won, but that was a frustrating ass fight. He made me question myself, you know? But as in like what I'm gonna do for the future, I don't know. Like it's hard. There's a lot of things I would like to do. I like teaching, you know. But who knows? My passion could change.
Just going with the
Basically,
flow, right?
I'm just going with the flow, man. You know. And really, it doesn't matter about money or not even if my name ever does get known. Really, it's just whatever keeps me genuine. You know.
Beautifully said,
And
man.
I think some of the biggest gems just for everyone to take away from is it's kind of a constant theme, and it's the theme of being present. It applies to your training, it applies to you being in the ring, in the locker room, and the people that have a hard time balancing their family life, their work, their training. I think that's the answer. And I feel like it's also the answer for anxiety. It's also the answer for depression. You know, like depression, what is depression? You know, like it's things that we're sad about, we're angry about, we're frustrated with from the past that we think about that comes up again. And anxiety is, you know, what's about to happen, what's going to happen in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour from now. And I feel like that sense of presence, it brings you know, those thoughts will still pop in, of course. You know, none of us are perfect, we're all human, and it's hard to control, but I feel like that sense of presence may be the only answer, logical answer to all of it.
I mean, it's crazy, man. We have more control over our thoughts and the energy around us than we think. You know, for example, you know, if you think about everything that's going on, you know, every issue, every problem that's been bothering you lately, you know, and then all of a sudden you get a call right now with news that a loved one, something terribly happened to a very close person, you know, something they just passed or whatever. Everything that was bothering you or that you were tripping off of, it doesn't even matter no more. You know, if anything, you know, court case, whatever, you know, bills, money. If someone was to come at you with that, the moment you got that news, you're like, man, fuck that shit. I don't care about that right now. That don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? Like, this is what's real right now. Like, none of that is real right now. I don't give a damn about none of that shit. Fuck all that. All of a sudden, those issues have deceased. You know what I mean? You don't even care about them no more. We can do that without something drastic happening like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been kind of funny thing, I've been meditating on this thought recently, and just speaking to different types of people that work 9 to 5s, people that work that have really extravagant or like really extreme lives. You know, a lot of fighters have extreme lives. That's why I feel like I can connect with a lot of fighters. And then sometimes I have a hard time connecting with the people that have 9 to 5. But then there are people that do a 9 to 5, and I can really connect with them, even though they haven't had any like extreme experiences or travel. And I kind of start to think, you know, what makes them unique, and for me to be able to connect with them if they're not really doing unique things. And I think it's one of two things: is you either have to travel and go through really extreme scenarios in your life, let's say like for yourself, where you know you grew up in poverty and the different types of addiction and everything you've gone through. People that have you know just different perspective on the world, or traveling to somewhere that's a third world country and being able to see their problems and not having to complain about, you know, someone is being violent towards you with words. It's like, no, I mean, that's disrespectful to say to the people that feel real violence against them. You know, like our problems here in America are obviously incomparable to those. So I think it's just one of two things. You either experience those things and you go out there in the world and you find that perspective by traveling, by doing extreme things, or by literally sitting down and being critical with yourself, thinking about yourself, being with your own thoughts. So I think it's those people that, you know, have a 9 to 5, the people that have a regular life, maybe they don't have opportunities to travel. I feel like that next best thing and then that you can do to really be happy with yourself is just to sort through your thoughts and be fucking critical of yourself, and that'll kind of filter it out, and then you start over and reset. You're like, all right, now I know what to do.
Yeah. Well, you know, I feel like it don't matter really where we are. Perspective is perspective. You know what I mean? And it's just what we take from it. You know, some people, it takes them longer. You know, sometimes it seems like their situations are repetitive, you know, and it's like, man, they just never learn. But, you know, it's just, it takes some people longer, you know, the lesson, the things that we go through, are for real lessons. You know what I mean? I guarantee you, if I had now if I had 5 years ago what I have now, I wouldn't be able to maintain this because I wasn't responsible enough to maintain what I have. You know, I was a bit reckless, and there was things I had to learn in order to maintain this. You know, and it doesn't matter how long it's take. When harvest time comes, you know, it's never late. You know, when you bite into that apple, it's never late. You know, it's right on time. So we just gotta trust the process. You know what I mean? Try to learn from the situations that we're in. Because whether you work at Walmart or you work at Apple, or, you know, you're in the gym or you're in high school, everything kind of flows to the same rhythm. You know what I mean? It's just all about our perspective on the situation at hand. You know what I mean? What we're going to do about it. Some people just say, fuck it, I'm done. I'm done with this. You know, it's scary, but shoot, it's thrilling, you know.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the most introspective podcasts for people to listen to, whether you're listening to it on your way home right now from work, you're at work listening to it on iTunes, or you're listening to it right now live on Facebook. I think you should meditate on these thoughts, you know,
motherfuckers.
lack of a better word. You know, we're coming to over an hour mark, so just to close all this up, we really want to thank you for coming on. I mean, that's a ton of knowledge. I feel like we're on a good wavelength here. So Your door's always open for you to come back on. I'm sure we can chat the next time you have a fight coming up, or you're getting done with a fight.
Oh, no doubt.
I'm sure there's a lot of things to talk about when that goes through. And yeah, man, just best of luck to with everything. I know you have huge things coming. Man. I feel like the momentum's only building for you. So is there any shout outs you want to give to any people, social media that you want to shout out, anything like that?
Man, just, shout out to all my supporters, all my loved ones, all my sponsors. I don't know, am I supposed to say?
Put you on the spot.
You're gonna leave someone out.
How do we do that? Just shout out to everyone who genuinely supports me. That's it. It's just I love everybody. ELE, everybody love everybody, but it's just keep it trucking, man. Whatever you guys doing, you don't have to be doing nothing special, and you don't need to be doing it in front of anybody. If you love to do it, you'll do it in your garage all by yourself. The presence of others doesn't dictate whether you're successful or not. Just do what you love, man.
Beautiful. Well spoken last words of the podcast. Yeah, thanks again for coming on, man. I've definitely learned a thing or two here. So
hey, thanks,
let you know. Yeah, hell yeah, man. We'll let you know when we get the podcast up on iTunes and stuff. But yeah, thanks for jumping on this Friday night, and we'll be talking to you soon, man.
All right, for sure. Looking forward to it.
All right, take care, man.
All right, guys. Sean, do you have anything to announce before we get off of here? No, I know there's a lot of things. We're going to be in Costa Rica next week, baby.
Yeah, we'll be in Costa Rica next week, be in Thailand, all that kind of shit. That's all I got to say. Go to Muay Thai Guy.
Go to Muay Thai Guy. Make sure you head over to also MuayThaiAthlete.com/heavy-bag-manual. So if you're not as creative as Eddie Abasolo here with all your solo drills and things like that, it's a really, really good resource. It's free. So go and download it, MuayThaiAthlete.com/heavy-bag-manual. And then if you do want some of those special, unique techniques that Eddie showcases on the bag, you can head over to my YouTube channel as well, or go to Eddie Abasolo's YouTube channel. He's reposted some of them. So make sure you check that out and search for Eddie on Instagram and Facebook and all those things. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Eddie, for coming on. Shout out to CSA, the whole crew over there. It was an amazing time training with you guys out there. It was great getting to know you, watch you training in the dark. Literally, I'm taking naps and just seeing this man just working at it, literally with all the lights off in the middle of the day when everyone's gone. So, yeah, man, it's not just him talking. It really is action. I can say that myself being there in person. So, everyone have a beautiful day. Take care.